Hey everyone, it's Tiffany T and Teresah Lynn, the imprint coach and author and just amazing woman. And thank you for joining the Soul Search show every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. We're really glad to have you with us. Hey Devette for joining. Hi, thanks for joining. Yes, but it's Wednesday. What's today's date? June 13th. Okay, got that one right. June 13th, 2016. And Teresah and I are just so excited to be able to have this hour once a week to be with you guys and help you out any way we can. We're going to bring on Devette. Devette 777. So what we do is Teresah has invented. She's the author of the Soul Guidance, the Journey deck, and she does that, and it's a really amazing card deck with beautiful illustrations, and what's even more better is the meaning behind everything. And she really kind of puts things into perspective with her cards, and it's not tarot cards or anything, it's more of like a life journey guidance deck. So, and I do numerology, so if anybody would like to come on and ask a question or want their number done, feel free. And Devette, it says that your connection's blocked by a firewall. Wondering how I can get her on. Maybe you're on an Apple, right? Okay, wait, hang on, I'll type to her. Yeah, Teresah, is there anything that you want to add?
Yeah, no, just happy to be here on another Wednesday with the dynamic Tiffany T. Author and entrepreneur, and soon to have a release book with Jack Canfield, I believe, coming out in a month?
Yes. Wow.
That's exciting.
It is. Okay. Sorry, I was just trying to help that out. Let me go ahead and I'm just going to kick you off really quick and then go ahead and try to log back in. But anyway, so how was your week, Teresah?
Really busy. I'm working on my business plan.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's been incredibly busy. It's kind of all that, that formatting and the type of work that's not incredibly inspiring, yet it's a necessary part of business. I'm not a business person, but it's the business part that I need to do.
Yeah.
Until I find someone to do it for me.
Right. So you just have your personal assistant right there doing everything.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely one day.
Devette, did you get my message? I'm sorry I had to bump you, but try calling in again. Make sure your security should be okay. Or if you did refresh, because I see you're still on, so. But yes, Devette's she's an NLP expert. She does hypnotherapy and all that. She's really an interesting woman. I love her to bits. But so also, let's see. I was reading your cards the other day, or doing a card reading, and it's really interesting. Do you want to explain the psychology behind, because what I love about your cards, Teresah, is it's like every time I read them, I learn a lesson. It's really cool because out of all the 9 other decks that I have, yours is by far my favorite. And because I every time I work with them, I learn so much, and I really enjoy them. But wait, let's see what Devette says. Let's see if she can get on again.
Yeah.
But there's the card, what is it? Purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think that that's more of like coming into your purpose, living on purpose, or, obviously it depends on what I was inquiring about, but.
Right. Well, my philosophy that when I wrote the deck, it's really, it was my own philosophy. It was like when I was reading other decks and going, how come this doesn't really resonate with my happiness and my joy? And I think for me, the what I related all my psychology to was nature.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever is natural and in life. So for example, my card on control. Well, a lot of people will say, oh, you have control issues and are you self-sabotaging? It's all these negative concepts. And I'm going, okay, well, what is control? And I really went within and I can even feel my goosebumps right now. But I went in and going, okay, I don't really want to believe in a negative concept. So what really is the brilliance in control? And what I recognize is that everything relates to nature in the way that perhaps even your soul starts out just kind of like as a seedling, and it grows, and there's never any stages that are wrong. So if you're in a stage of control, it just means you're creating and protecting from a very young place, not a matured blossoming.
What was that last thing you said? Because
I'm just saying that, like the concept of control, instead of it being wrong, it's just coming from a place of creating and protecting from a place perhaps maybe of fear or manipulation, which is just an undeveloped aspect of creating. So if you're in full creating, you're creating from joy and love.
Right.
And when you're not blooming yet, if you're not fully developed yet, you still maybe under the earth a little bit, and it's kind of dark down there. You're still creating, but you're just creating from a very limited place because you're not in that stage yet of development. So it just kind of takes that. Well, of course, that's where I am. Why would I expect myself to bloom when I can't force that? I can nourish myself and water myself type of concepts. But to come to full acceptance, going, I'm not a bad person because I'm controlling or trying to create out of fear and manipulation. That's just where I'm at.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
So if I which it happens within the last week and a half, 2 weeks, it's been like 4 times. And I'm asking what energies are surrounding my life at this time. Would that be in context that I'm working on my purpose, living on my purpose?
You draw the crowd purpose, asking what?
What energies are surrounding my life at this time?
And you kept drawing the purpose card. Well, I would say, yeah, I mean, you probably know better than I do if you listen within, but I would just say that, yeah, everything that your attention is being drawn to has to do with purpose. It depends what your purpose is. So I think like when I'm starting with my clients, I start with the feeling aspect. Like, what do you want to feel? So sometimes when people are really chaotic, they just want to feel calm, Right. And if people are more lethargic, they want to feel alive. So it's like, well, what is your purpose then? So where does, what is the main feeling that your soul is carrying, even in past lifetimes, even into this lifetime? And so I kind of starting there with Tiffany, with just your emotion, going, okay, well, what's the major emotion I want to feel this week?
And obviously it's just this ecstatic state of joy, which I am every day in some way or another. Some days it's more challenging than others, but that's okay.
So are you ready? So do you feel then you're already living on purpose then?
Absolutely.
Is this trying to reaffirm that you are on the right path, you're living on purpose, you're full of joy and exuberance?
That's what I was getting from it. I just wanted to make sure. I love that card too. And then also values. I love the card values because I like the exercise that you provide in it. Having to choose from the list and really wake up to what your values are. And like before I ever got that card, I didn't have a list of, of everything. And then and then narrowing it down, was really important for me. So. And Devette, you can just type your question too if you would like. Here, okay, you're calling again. Let's let you see if it works. Sorry, this is so challenging. But yeah, like I said, I always love working with your deck. It's one of my favorites.
Thank you.
Do you have a what? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Do you have a Mac? You have a Mac, right? Or is it a
Me? No, I have HP.
Okay.
Laptop HP. Personal computer. Yeah.
And then Devette said she has a Dell. Yes, you can type to us. Absolutely. Here, let me close your window. And sorry about that. Hi. Hi, Devette.
Well, I guess, yeah, I don't. Can she hear us? I guess, though, right? So I don't have to type in.
I'm pretty sure she can. Yeah, she can hear us. Okay. Yes, so go ahead and just type us your question. Teresah will pick a card for you, and hopefully that helps. This week has been, it's crazy how fast time is going. I swear. It's just, it boggles my mind sometimes. Like, oh my gosh. Can't believe it's Wednesday again.
So you had a good week?
I had an amazing week. I don't really remember everything right now because it's, like I said, it just seems like yesterday. Last week I attempted to do the 3 shows in one night, and it went really well. So I was glad about that.
That's awesome.
I was a little bit tired afterwards, and then I went to the gym at like 1:30 in the morning. Okay, that has her question. Do you want to read that?
Oh, wonderful. Sure. Devette is asking, I wonder about my current business opportunity with the New York Rangers. So your question would be, so Devette, I'll just state it one way, and you can just put yes or no. So I'll state it in a way that says, what energy or what will I be attracting into my life if I pursue the opportunity with the New York Rangers? Does that sound okay, Devette? Yes. And it's interesting too, because even our listeners can ask that question themselves and kind of go, okay, well, if I'm pursuing an opportunity in my life, what will I be attracting? So even if it's like, I believe we're all connected anyway. So it could be even related to Tiffany and I as well. So if we're thinking about pursuing something, whether it be an opportunity or a relationship or something, if we're about to pursue something, what are we attracting? Or what will blossom in our life or manifest in our life? So I have my card deck here, and I'm just going to, my cards were blessed with the energy of going home, and going home means like your highest vibrational energy available. So Tiffany, do you have anything as well that might be related?
No, this is just for Devette.
Okay. All right, Devette, we're going to talk about the reading. The New York Rangers, I believe. Okay, there we go. I got the card giving and receiving. So Devette, can you just write down a quick sentence immediate to your mind when I say giving and receiving?
You were breaking up, Teresah. Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
The card that I picked was giving and receiving. Can you just, Devette, just the first thing that comes into your mind when you think about giving and receiving in relation to the New York Rangers, the opportunity?
And just for the video, you guys, she's responding. First thing that comes to mind. I know in the video recordings,
we're waiting for an answer.
You can't always see what's going on.
Yeah, but we do have a little, type in live chat going on. Is yes, I get to give of my talents and also be part of such an amazing opportunity. So just from reading what you wrote, Devette, the energy is very, very expansive. Whenever we use the word amazing, I mean, that's a very expansive word. It's an opportunity of a lifetime to finally step into something great. So definitely the universe is supporting you. Your angels are supporting that opportunity. And sometimes when we have this incredibly huge opportunity and comes into our lives and we step forward into it, it can either be the magical thing we think it is, or it's going to be the next step to the next magical thing. But it's important to take. It's important to listen to that step. Because I went all the way to Spain, right? And I thought, okay, well, I'd really like to pursue an apprenticeship in psychology of vision, which was the training I was doing years back. And I was excited to go, and once I got there, it's like, oh, well, this isn't the step I'm supposed to be taking. And I went in a whole different direction. And I traveled for a month, and I came home and wrote my book and my cards instead. And that was like way, way like bigger than
you were breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, my screen is freezing up. I don't know where I left off.
Do you want to refresh?
And
we'll be right here. Maybe it'll.
Okay.
Perfect. We'll just wait for Teresah to come back on. So yes, actually, it's funny, Devette, because that was such a perfect card for you. Giving and receiving, balancing. Okay, let's see. There she is. We'll see if that's a little bit better. Okay, is that better?
Well, I'll do some talking here. Hopefully it's better.
Better on my end.
Yes. So, okay. So where are you at? Oh, okay, Devette's typing. It says, it is also affecting my love relationship, but I am okay with that. But I hope there is still something that can grow with love too.
Do you want to repeat the last thing that you were talking about before you refreshed about the card giving and receiving?
Sure. Yeah, what I was talking about wasn't directly with giving and receiving, but taking that next step. I mean, into that amazing opportunities. And that's what I felt like I said when I bought a ticket to Spain and I was going to do an apprenticeship with psychology of vision. And I thought it would be this great opportunity. And it could have been. But however, I changed paths. Once I got into Spain, I ended up going traveling for a month. And I came back inspired to write my cards and my book, which was something I couldn't have envisioned for myself. And for me, it was an incredibly amazing opportunity, not just a good opportunity. And that probably would have come into my life had I not taken those steps into amazingness. Do you know what I mean? So it was like this really big, expansive energy that I was stepping into, and I just turned directions once I realized it's like, okay, it's just listening, always listening to your body, listening to that energy of, oh, this is amazing. Keep taking steps towards the amazing energy. And that will definitely lead you to your life purpose and true fulfillment and real happiness and incredible success and fulfillment.
And Teresah, I was going to ask you if you wanted to kind of expand, because I love your, hi, Daryl. It's nice to see you, Daryl. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Teresah, I love your perspective of coming into yourself. We were talking about it a while ago, and just how like there's certain things that happen and certain steps you have to take. Sometimes it feels like it's not happening, but those steps are necessary to get you to the end result. Well, I mean, on the right path or whatever. Do you remember what I was talking about? Or what you were talking about? You said it so beautifully that day.
Which day was that?
It was like,
No, I'm not sure where you're.
I think it was the first or second time we FaceTimed. I don't know.
No, I don't recall.
Okay, then what is your perspective on going through the process, I guess?
My perspective of going through what process?
Like just the process in life and like coming into yourself and your purpose. And
it's constantly ongoing. But I know that it started for me, the real process work. I was doing a lot of workshops on psychology of vision, which is a spiritual-based program, which really helped me a lot. But what was the turning pivotal point was then I used to, 8-9 years ago, I used to have bad anxiety attacks. And at that point in my life, I started taking prescription drugs and tried meditating, and nothing really seemed to help until I finally got into that place of, there's nothing wrong. I'll just use it as my guide and my teacher. And I spent a whole year just listening within, listening to my body when it wanted to sleep, when it wanted to nap and cry and eat and play. And 100%, I didn't work for a year. And I just really paid attention to my body. And I think that was learning how to step into getting to know myself, because that's what I use now just all the time. It's like, okay, how's my energy? How's my body feeling? Keep going in the directions. And because when you keep on listening within, you begin to know yourself and honor yourself. Know what excites you, just really, I think, if I could wish it for everybody to have a whole year off where you can just pay attention to every little nuance of who you are and what you want in every moment of every day, that was a huge blessing.
Awesome. I just got a couple texts that people were trying to get on as well, but they're having complications. Devette, did you have any more questions or want to ask Teresah anything since we have the opportunity to be here with her tonight?
Yeah, you had mentioned something that you hope that there's something that can grow with love too, and maybe it's something you want to elaborate on or get some clarity about.
And Daryl, would love to hear what you say as always. What do you have to say?
So Devette is typing in right now. I'm very curious about the status of my relationship.
So am I. That's a good question.
And what are you curious about? What part are you curious? So the status is either you're together, you're not together, you're kind of together. So that's kind of like the status of the relationship. It's in a stuck place. Do you want it to be unstuck, like truly? I'll be moving to New York where he lives. Yes, unstuck, please. Okay, so are you curious about how to become unstuck? And what action step perhaps you could take to be unstuck? To have everything flow with more ease and brilliance. His cousin is the goalie for the Rangers. Okay, yes. Okay, Devette, I'm going to pull a card on that one. Unless, Tiffany, you have some numerology input you'd like to bring into that?
Well, actually, way back in the day, Devette and I met. I think we met in 2002, or no, 2004 or something. And I taught her numerology, and now she knows way more than I do because she's been practicing it ever since then. So there's really nothing I can't tell her that she already knows or doesn't already know.
Okay, revenue. All right. So what will help Devette? And so instead of being stuck, if you could just kind of reframe it, going, okay, I'm really tired of the the whirlpools, the stagnant place, and you want to start to feel some flow. And you're ready for some flow. And what action step is necessary for that to happen? That's what we're going to draw a card on. And I got the intimacy card. So Devette, my card on intimacy, if you could just, I don't know if you can, Tiffany, how do we private message each other?
I do it through Facebook. Devette, I think you have to be she has to follow you on Facebook. So Devette, go ahead and follow Teresah right now. When you follow her on Blab, it's the same on Facebook. I mean, Twitter. I'm sorry, I'm getting my social medias mixed up. And
the reason why I'm asking,
oh, sorry, go ahead,
is that if you connect with Teresah Lynn Harder on my private Facebook page, I can send you the whole page on intimacy. And the reason why it's really important, because it's quite extensive. And intimacy really starts with self-intimacy. And it's kind of what Tiffany and I were just talking about, getting to really know yourself, right? So I'd like to be able to send it to you through Facebook, if I can, even just a Facebook message or an email or something. You just added me on Facebook. Okay, you found me already. That's amazing. Okay, so did you friend request me, Devette? Great. Okay, I'll respond there, and I'm just going to make a note to send you the card on intimacy. Send intimacy card. And so it's just a recap of what the intimacy card is about. Is when it comes to intimacy with any person in your life or with any relationship, even to the earth, the more you understand your own intimacy with self, the more natural, and you don't even like the relationship
Teresah,
desires. And I've
you froze again.
So did you?
I did.
Yeah.
Here, I'll refresh first, and then you refresh. Okay. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be right back. Be right back.
Yeah. So, Devette, what is I was saying? I'm not sure how much you heard, but having self-intimacy, it makes all of your relationships just flow with ease. So the better you know yourself when it comes to spirituality, physical intimacy with yourself, spiritual intimacy with yourself, and all those aspects of intimacy that we have, it really does start with yourself. And relationships are magical and easy and flowing perfectly when we are totally mastering self-intimacy, when we've really mastered it. Does that make sense to you, Devette? And Dr. Corey joined us. Hello. And Kurush just joined. Hello.
Oh, Dr. Corey is calling in.
So while we're great, Devette is just responding.
Hello.
Yes, it does. I focus out so much, so I will focus within. Hello, Dr. Corey.
Hi, Dr.
Welcome.
Corey.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello, ladies. How are you?
Such a treat to have you on our show.
It's a pleasure. I don't know. I tried to keep coming in. I don't know. Nobody was on, so
Oh,
I don't know what happened.
yeah.
But
We've been on for
finally,
a
I
half
made
hour,
it.
but you're here.
Okay.
Awesome.
So thanks so much, Devette, for your questions and coming on the show.
Yeah.
And if you have questions later on, I guess we have Dr. Corey on. And I assume then Dr. Corey has a question for us.
Teresah, do you want to put your email, your website and stuff so that Devette has a way to get a hold of you? And everybody else? So.
She's already Facebooked me.
Okay. Perfect.
And you as well. Tiffany?
Yes, I want to, if I may ask a question about soul search, which is has been a topic of my interest because for longest time I was always questioning, like, who am I gonna end up with or get married with, my soulmate, and all that kind of stuff. But people said it's just a cliche, it's kind of like only exists in the books of Alison and the Wonderland, So, but when it happened to me, accidentally with my wife, I realized it's like a virus that it keeps on growing, you know.
Not sure what that means.
I mean, like,
is that a good thing?
the love virus is only keeps on growing bigger. Like, you know, AIDS virus may kill a person, but love virus keeps on growing, and it's very contagious.
Right. And so what's your question for me or for Tiffany?
My question is that what is exactly you feel by what soul is in general? I mean, what is soul?
You're asking me what soul is?
Yeah, I mean, you say you put here soul search. I mean, for me, search was just the search happened. I didn't look for it. Was, I mean, I couldn't look for it because it's invisible. But I want to understand what soul is to you, in, you know, what you believe in.
Sure, I can answer that. Yeah, I get a sense. It's really not from anything I really read, but more things I think I've experienced. This sense of, I guess because I've had out-of-body experiences and I've felt a sense of myself beyond my body. And my soul, I feel like my heart and my soul are the unmaterialistic consciousness of who I am. And so a soul feels like a personal energy or imprint of who. It's hard to describe. I get a sense that there's a separateness, and that we're all these individual souls, but yet at the same time, it's maybe kind of a paradox that there is no separation between any of us, and we're all, you know, totally connected. But the individuality comes from, I believe, the age. Perhaps there's an age of the soul.
Yeah.
Because it feels like I've experienced many past lifetimes through readings, and I've had a shaman show me. I had a dream where, this might make more sense when I actually do a real example, because several years ago I had a shaman who was going to do a 20-minute session with me to tell me what my past life was. And so the night prior to my session with him, I had a dream. And so when I'm sitting there and he's standing behind me, and I'm sitting in the chair, and he has his hands on my shoulders, and he says, "Oh, before we get to your life path, your life purpose, I want to tell you about the dream you had last night." So he described my dream to a T. And like, so that's what I find, that is like, there's something connecting our souls together, him and I. He had information about my soul and I don't know if I'm rambling here, but then he went into my life, one of my past lives, and it was 100% felt like the truth, because I've been repeating the same thing, like I think 5 lifetimes already now, the same type of thing my soul is trying to learn, is trying to, you know, grow. How about you, Tiffany? How do you
I would describe soul as something that's infinite, something that to me doesn't completely make sense 100%. I know everybody has a soul. And I think our souls are all on a journey through different dimensions and realms, lifetime to lifetime. But yeah, that's basically what I know of a soul. We can see that
I have a tad of a different problem. My problem is that for me is almost the other way around first. In other words, you know, I feel interconnected first before I feel disconnected. I mean, I felt like that since I was a child.
Like connected to your human body or the world?
My perception, you know, like they say, you know, they show in psychology that kids, they have that interconnectiveness, and then they separate, you know, they start to differentiate and separate from, you know, making things separate from their body eventually, you know, as they progress. For me, it has been the other way around. In other words, I felt one with the universe since I was a child. But as I got older, it just got more and more and more encompassing. It grew more.
Is it because you're an empath?
Yeah, I started knowing what empath is because in psychology they talk about empathy as a vocabulary, but not as a practice or identity. But when I came across other empaths or people who were psychic, they were telling me I'm an empath. So I started to explore different philosophies and natural phenomenon of lifestyle of Buddhist and other religions and lifestyles.
Mm-hmm.
And I became like sort of a educated because I'm like I got my PhD, but I feel like I'm a yogi.
Right.
I mean, like, but I'm just saying, not because I'm trying to like give it in an egotistical way, but it is empaths are people who communicate telepathically with other empaths.
Mm-hmm.
So I just know I'm empath because I draw empaths to me because I can communicate that frequency.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's a really good way of knowing when you have a soul or not through telepathy. It has happened to me once too, where I was walking, and this person was kind of like in a vegetative state, and his caregiver was shuffling him along. And then, as he got within, I think about 4 or 5 feet from me, he lifted his head and he looked directly at me, and I heard him without his lips moving. I heard him say to me, "This is all for fun." And then he went back down into his state. And I heard it clearly, and it was very telepathic, and that's the only time I've ever had that experience happen to me, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, my wife says that to me sometimes. She says, I heard you ask me already, so that's why she answers me before I even asked.
It's interfering.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, what was that,
Yeah.
Dr. Corey?
Sorry.
So I'm saying, like, sometimes my wife tells me, like, I come to ask her a question and she gives me the answer. So I say, you're giving me the answer before I ask the question, and she said, I heard you say that.
Yeah, interesting. Oh, so is there any other questions? We have Lisa Ness that joined us.
Hey, Lisa. Dr. Corey, did you did that answer your question?
Yeah, I can get off if you want me to.
No, you're fine. Devet, hi again. Thanks for being able to call in.
Yeah. Thank you. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. I kind of had an opinion about the soul thing too that I find really interesting that I've recently kind of discovered. If I can share a little bit about
Absolutely.
that.
Please
Cool.
do.
Thank you. Is that it seems to me, because I've done some past life regression with NLP and hypnosis, and I've been a little kind of, okay, well, what is this past life thing? Do we really have past lives? And I started doing some research on like our DNA, and it seems like we actually carry our ancestors' DNA. So what we might even be feeling is almost like a past life. It's unresolved issues from maybe our great grandparents or somebody in our ancestry that maybe had some sort of unresolved issue that gets carried down and down until we actually resolve it, which I find is really really interesting. But I think sometimes that shows up and I think sometimes that even happens when somebody crosses your path and you're like, I know you from somewhere. I don't know where I know you. How could I possibly know you? You come from another part of the world. It's possible that maybe my great grandma was in love with your great grandpa or something at some point, and you carry that essence, because they say, I believe 97% of your DNA, they call it junk DNA, which is impossible. And
Yeah.
our DNA goes into the next, pool. And so I wonder if that's not something that, we're carrying on through the next life, or through the next generation and generation, and it's unresolved, and it's something that needs to be, looked at and worked on, because it's unresolved, being passed through.
May I say something about that?
Yeah.
Of course.
The reason I became more telepathic and communicate the empathic consciousness into a language, which is very when we have a rapport with each other, in other words, but it's a lot more extreme, I encourage you to how do you say your name? Devet?
Devet, yeah.
Devet, yeah. I encourage you not stay in the wonder, but start to communicating that, because yes, we do all have the genes and the ancestry consciousness in so many levels, emotionally, physically, and psychologically, that still plays in present moment and time. But the thing is that I encourage you to come out of that wonder and start communicating that.
Absolutely.
Because it's sitting there and is waiting to be communicated.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an interesting question about a perspective.
Yeah, because when I decided to come out of my academic training in psychology, for example, with my PhD training and research, I realized that I won't be able to become an empath in that integrity of oneness, mind, body, spirit, unless I kiss goodbye the academic world and come and take a leap, actually, to the total esoteric consciousness, and that's a lift of chakra that happens. And when you go into that third eye consciousness, you start to see and feel and hear, and it's like an X-ray vision into another realm of consciousness. And if you do not practice that, you're always going to be, part of you going to say, oh, you're crazy, maybe, I got to focus on work and all of that. Another part of you is going to say, oh, you know what, I got to be talking about this and stay rational. And another part of you, your feeling part, is going to always not be communicated if you just stay in that wonder and not really use it. And it's going to become a frustrating, schizophrenic type of a, kind of a thing that always you try to push yourself down because you got to go to work in the traffic tomorrow.
Right. Makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and just another, to add to the perspective too, I think when I'm looking at past lives too, and the lessons I was trying to learn, it's like I believe that, at least for myself, that I can rewrite anything. So I don't really necessarily want to learn anymore. It's like I'm kind of done learning about, lessons and that kind of stuff. And so you get to really choose which is more fun, which is more joyful, if that's the kind of life you have. If you want to introspective, let me finish my thought.
Yes, okay, go.
So unless you want to have an introspective and more, serious or thought out or life, you can dive into whatever you want to choose to learn, if that's your journey as well. But I think you get to pick and choose which journey you want. Sorry, go ahead, Dr. Corey. What were you wanting to add to that?
Yeah, I wanted to, sometimes the feeling is so outrageous that I get to, sometimes I want to jump in the middle of people's conversation. It's not me trying to be rude, but I just want to say the frequency is so high, is like a turn on, almost like almost wants to interject. So what I want to say with that example that I'm just mentioning, this to clarify, is that this frequency has a life of its own. In other words, there is not a choice that you make, but when it comes a time in your life that you say, you know what, it has its own GPS. In other words, it comes a time in your life that you say, you know what, I got to take a leap and I gotta like you know, jump off the, you know, that wagon in order to go there. And you know, when it's time, it's time. So I did that because I know that if I didn't do it now, I won't be able to do it. I couldn't do it when I was younger because I didn't know any better. But then when I decided to do this, I decided to resign from my job and take a leap into total, you know, kind of like a maverick consciousness, if you will.
Oh, I think Teresa's having problems. So yeah, so then you were, unless you did that, you weren't gonna move forward, you mean?
What I'm saying is that when there is a shift of consciousness, you know, nothing will make sense. In other words, you may do some, you know, things that are not totally rational in a sense. You may not need enough reason. It has a life of its own. So many times, you know, people who are psychic, they come and live, they can push it down for so long.
Mm-hmm.
If they do not learn early in their life, they may become, you know, out of whack and schizophrenic and all of that kind of stuff. They could not, they didn't take their time to learn how to ride their own bicycle. So I encourage you not to push down or try to make a choice necessarily, but do know that when you have to make a decision and when that choice shows up, your decision making is very important, because the next step after that is a lift off of that chakra energy that goes up. And when it goes up, you have to stay there and see what it wants to show you, because it's showing something. And I think I told you, Tiffany, that I like to speak to that frequency.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, it's not because I want to speak telepathically or empathically and this all this kind of cliche, but it needs to do what it needs to do. In other words, the communication of the third eye consciousness is something that you develop too. It happens. It makes the shift happens. And when it happens, like people sometimes, you know, get there by a glimpse of looking at it with drugs or some kind of meditations, and a lot of time that they may take in order to get a glimpse of it. But if you want to have a lifestyle of it and you want to see what it wants to show you, I mean, it's a very esoteric lifestyle. It's almost like, I mean, it's like you decided to be on acid 24/7. I mean, it's like that.
I wouldn't know what that's like.
Well, but no, but don't you know, take me wrong. You still have to go to work. You still have to invest. You still have to talk business, and you have to still be rational. But the thing is that many times people get on medication or lose their mind because the mind, maybe they got the body in check. Maybe they got their head, you know, shrank as much as it had to be shrank. But, you know, when the third step of consciousness comes, you got to take your time to handle it. Because if you don't, you're going to take a lot of medication, try to push down all that kind of like a knowledge that is coming to show you some message.
Yeah, you still got to function as a human being and live life.
Exactly.
Thank you for your perspective, Dr. Corey. Always a pleasure.
Well, I want to make sure that people, you know, basically take their time to explore that there is such a thing beyond being what humanity they say should be, or what they teach us in school, because humanity, true humanity, is beyond humanity.
Right.
In other words, what they taught you in school of what humanity is, that's a concept. You only become more of a human or humane when you kind of like steam off after all that books and like a book knowledge, they say. When you go beyond academics and you can communicate with each other with that tone of voice, if you will, with that alignment of consciousness in your words and actions, that integrity It's very hypnotic. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I think that's the difference between your conscious and your subconscious mind, because people are living in their conscious mind where it's just black and white and they know what they see with their eyes. And when you step into your subconscious, it's beyond what you see or what you've been taught, and it's beyond what's black and white. It's a feeling. It's a whole other world, because it's not something you can just touch with your fingers. It's something that you feel within your soul. It's a knowing, it's an experience, it's a feeling. And most people live in their conscious mind, which is their ego mind, right? Like, it's the right and wrong concept. It's the in order for me to win, someone has to lose, or the only thing that's real is what I see, you know, and that's very scientific. But beyond that is a whole other realm that you really can't prove with science, because you can't measure it on our current measuring tools as you do water, or a yardstick or something. And so it's a whole other world in your subconscious, and that's where our true self, I believe, lives.
Well, conscious mind is our body consciousness, is rational body that we can feel hot and cold and react to it accordingly. That's just our conscious mind that is very fearful. It's a lot of fear there.
It's ego. It's all ego.
Yeah, but then there is a subconscious mind. Subconscious mind maybe moves up to your throat chakra, and it has a lot of blabbing. It has a lot of baloney that comes up because we try to be smart about it. You know, that's kind of like a revolving door, if you will, and there is a kind of like a doubt there. But then there is unconscious, which is got to do with the third eye, that pituitary gland sees with the third eye chakra, and pineal gland is for the crown chakra. So when it gets to that unconscious level, is total love, is no fear, is no doubt, is absolute love that is very, very orgasmic.
And because it's complete connection, it's I am you and you are me. So in order for me
100%.
to hate you is to hate myself. In order for me to love me means that I love you, because we're one. And so when you get to that point of understanding that we're all one, how can you hate yourself? You know, anything that's separate.
Well, that's where utopia happens. Utopia happens in unconsciousness. In other words, they say, when people are smoking dope, everybody becomes each other's friends. But we just get a glimpse of it. But if you live in that total love, 100% unconsciousness, along with the other ones, but when you get to that level, it's 100% romantic life.
Who doesn't like romance, right?
It's kind of like spooky, but that's how it is.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And we have 5 minutes left. So does anybody else have anything to add? Or do you guys have anything else to
If someone wants to come up, I'm willing to open the seats if you want.
I really like your perspective, Teresah, and even in the questions that I asked, they're really dead on. In me taking this job opportunity, I've never been to New York, and so for me to make this move, my family is here in California. My grandson, I have a brand new grandbaby, and I'm very nervous, and I'm and excited at the same time, and I wonder if there's anything that I need to know or be cautious about or prepare for. I mean, is there any red flags that I should maybe be aware of, which could be the guy that's out there? or not, but is there any red flags, or is there just something that I, could look out for?
Okay, I'll just pull a card. The card expansion has come up. Does that mean anything to you instantly?
Expansion, yeah. I mean, financially, my mind, oh my God, this opportunity is bigger than me. And I'm terrified, but I'm taking it on. I could see myself expanding in ways that I have yet to explore, but I want it. I'm scared, but I want it. So,
Right.
okay. So should
May
I
I
be
ask a question?
from that, or?
Maybe it just went off. So I'll just I'll just respond to the expansion card, and it's
Okay.
about sometimes when the expansion card, what I wrote about. You can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Then
Yes.
yeah, did it? Okay, I don't know what happened to my camera, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, so the card is about expansion because you're finally ready, even though it doesn't feel like you're kind of walking into this big thing unknown. And I think maybe you've had opportunities in the past, perhaps, or perhaps not, but your soul really is finally ready. So whenever you get the expansion card, it means like, oh my God, I'm actually ready for this.
Yay!
Yay!
Nothing
nothing to worry about, nothing to fear, and there's nothing bad going on at all.
Okay. Okay. Yay!
May I ask?
Okay.
May I ask a quick one? I don't know. You do
Yeah,
cards.
1 minute left. Yeah.
What's my next step in life?
What's your next step in life? Okay. In
That's an
relation to any
interesting
part?
to see.
Huh?
In relation to any part of life, or just general?
In my legacy.
Okay. Okay, I got the meaningless. Oh, I'm showing it to my camera. My camera's not working. I picked the meaningless card. Does that have any instant thoughts come up for that?
That has been the story of my life. So just be patient. Be patient some more, I guess.
Okay. I can read
I
a
feel
bit.
like I've been living in a void from the time I was born till now. So just stay in the kind of like Matrix or something.
Well, it's interesting because the meaningless card that I wrote about, it talks a lot about, we ask ourselves, like, what are we doing here? What's life all about? What's the point? Why am I living here? Why have I chosen this? And I think sometimes we get into those questions and we philosophize? Anyway, we start,
that's a word.
I can't speak that word. We start analyzing it so we don't actually have to feel our feelings or take action.
Mm-hmm.
So being in that state of meaninglessness, it's not like you're sad or lost or confused, because meaningless is like, it's different than that. It's like, it doesn't really matter what step I take, because what's the beginning of it all anyway? So my recommendation is to really get into your heart, into your feelings about whatever next step that you take. Really tune into what's going to bring me happiness and joy and ease and love, and not using your mind to go, now if I do this next step, will this bring me happiness? But come from a state of happiness and pick the next step that brings you the feeling.
Well,
does that make sense?
At this point, I don't want to come down from cloud 9 anymore. I mean, like, basically I worked so hard to get to where I wanted with this third eye chakra, and I don't want to step down to the lower level consciousness any longer.
And why would you? Why would you think that you would step down from it?
Because to communicate with the lower level consciousness, like, I have to sometimes bring myself down to give my credit card number to a operator kind of thing, like, you gotta you cannot talk in parables, you gotta talk the numbers.
Right.
That's what I mean. Like I have to consciously take, change shift in order to say the words and the numbers in English language. Since I live in the United States, so like English language and numerical, 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of thing.
Yeah, well, that's a really fascinating subject to actually dive into. However,
but the thing is that when I talk to people in general in business, and that's why I've been sharing with people that my life and career coaching and business consulting has been in a telepathic way of communication, because between the lines, I feel like I connect with people now that are within the similar, like-minded people type.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Teresah, I'm not sure if Dr. Corey, if you're Facebook friends with Teresah or whatnot, or if you guys do Twitter with each other, but Teresah's Twitter is at the Imprint Coach if you want to follow, and her Facebook, Teresah Lynn. And if you want any information further, I can give it to you. But we need to wrap up so that
okay.
I have 2 more shows tonight to do. And Devette, thank you so much for tuning in. Corey.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Teresah. Thank you, Dr. Corey,
Tiffany.
for your feedback.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
thank you for the reading too.
absolutely. And
Teresah,
you're frozen up, so do you just want me to close out, or?
Sure.
Okay, do you have anything that you would like to add?
No, thanks for a wonderful night, and we hope to see you guys next Wednesday at 7:30 Pacific time.
Okay, thanks for tuning in, everyone.
All right.
Take care.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.